Massachusetts native Frank Vining Smith was a painter, an illustrator, sailor, hunter, and an ocean lover. He had a remarkable career as a painter, earning the reputation as the ultimate in marine painting. Here at Heritage, we can show an amazing breadth and depth of works and materials related to his work and his life. He had a great sense of adventure and a quirky sense of humor, which really comes through in a lot of his works. Frank Vining Smith was first and foremost a sailor, with a comfortable childhood that he spent in both Whitman, which is a small town outside of Boston, and his mother's family home on Cape Cod. Smith grew up around the ocean and developed an early love for the outdoors. He was encouraged by both his mother and his grandmother, who noticed his aptitude for art. And he sketched and painted throughout his early years. But his love of the sea came first, and he planned to become a sailor as soon as he graduated from high school. But he was extremely nearsighted, and he failed the examinations for the nautical ship, the Enterprise. He failed due to his poor vision, so he needed to come up with a new plan. So Frank Vining Smith turned to art. He trained at the School of the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. Boston at that time was a bustling hub of artistic activity, and some of the finest artists of that era, including Frank Weston Benson, Edmund Charles Tarbell, Philip Leslie Hale, they were all on the faculty of the museum school. They all embraced Impressionism, albeit in a distinctly American style, with vibrant brushwork, vivid colors, an emphasis on drawing and painting outdoors. He settled in Hingham, Massachusetts on the South Shore, and devoted himself to the art for which he is best remembered today, which is marine painting. In 1921, he had his first solo exhibition, which was called Splendid by local art critics in Boston. His intimate knowledge of ships and how they move through the water, acquired through his years of firsthand observation, was acclaimed by both art critics and, perhaps more importantly, by sailors themselves, who are notoriously merciless critics when it comes to all the accuracies of the ships themselves. Eventually, he garnered commissions from many important organizations, companies, individuals, and collectors, including President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and his career flourished throughout the 1940s and 50s. In 1947, he met Josiah Kirby Lilly Jr., who is the father of Heritage's founder, Josiah Kirby Lilly III, who became an important patron and also a friend. The two men shared lots of interests. They loved history, the outdoors. They both had summered in Falmouth for their entire lives. And they also shared concerns about the development or potentially overdevelopment of Cape Cod at that time. In what they named the Cape Pictures proposition, J.K. Lilly Jr. commissioned Frank Vining Smith to create 4 paintings documenting the Cape that they both knew and loved, trying to capture it before it disappeared. The project grew into a series of 20 paintings depicting different towns throughout the Cape and islands. After Frank Vining Smith's death in 1967, Heritage's founder, J.K. Lilly III, purchased that entire series of paintings from his father's estate and eventually gifted it to Heritage. As a hunter, fisherman, and all-around nature lover, Frank Vining Smith spent a lot of time outdoors. He loved to sketch and paint these subjects and filled sketchbooks full of them, which we have in our collection. But what comes across most strongly in Smith's work is his genuine love for the subjects he painted and the warmth of humor that touches so many of his works. His sketchbooks and journals are full of cartoons of his exploits on various sailing voyages. He was also just an excellent draftsman. When you look at his sketches and his watercolors, he was just a master when it comes to line and color, and you can see that. You can also see his impressionist training and influences in the way that he uses color, in the vibrancy of the canvases, and just that feel of movement and choppy brushstrokes that keep the composition moving and were so emblematic of both the Boston School and kind of American Impressionism more broadly. Over 88 years of a life that straddled both the 19th and 20th centuries, Smith witnessed momentous changes in our culture: the automobile, the end of the age of sail, 2 world wars, electricity, airplanes. But these modern inventions were not what captured Smith's imagination. He loved being out in nature, and he was also one who sort of pined for the past. He depicted hunting scenes, clipper ships, horse-drawn carriages, farms, seaside towns, these sort of symbols that defined 19th century life, but were discarded to the scrap piles of history by the time Smith painted them. He portrayed them full of vigor and life and color. It is almost as if you can feel his wistful hope and nostalgia for the past.